We'll take two. You know, you open up the gates and it's all over.
You think the restaurant people.
You know, if we were asked, it would happen. Mayor, how are you?
Now that Mayor Dean Trenthouse is here, we can start. the meeting.
October. October this year? Yeah, yes. Oh, yeah, second week.
That record show that he was too early.
Water, please. Yes.
Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call.
No.
Present.
Commissioner Melissa Dunn. Andrea Juvenile. Romola Montmani. Here. Mayor Dean Trentalis.
He's here.
Bob Weiser.
Here.
Nope, right on time.
You're right on time.
Tim Petrillo.
Here.
Mayor Josh Levy. Seth Spelman.
Present.
Kamasha Celia.
Yes, present.
Issa Latoff Perlo.
Here.
Good.
Do we have a quorum?
Okay, approval of minutes, March 4th, 2026.
Move to approve the minutes.
Need a second?
Second.
Having a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it. Report from Mount Randall. Our development tax, tax and treasury division. How are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you. Good morning, Vice Mayor McKenzie, President Ritter, and members of the Tourist Development Council. My name is Randall Lukauer. I'm the manager of the Broward County Tourist Development Tax Section, and I will report on the June 2026 reporting period, Greater Fort Lauderdale Convention and Visitors Bureau Tourist Development Tax Collections. The CVB portion of the June 2026 reporting period collections totaled $6,194,177, which was an increase of 8.9% or $507,543 when compared to collections for the same month in the previous year. The CVB portion of the fiscal year 2026 revenue collected through June 2026 reporting period totaled $75,273,188, which was an increase of 9.3% or $6,386,452 when compared to collections for the same period last year. The top 10 hotel June 2026 revenue increased an average of 5.7% when compared to the same month last year and represented 18.5% of the total revenue collected during the month. Revenue from all hotels totaled $6,475,133 and represented 69.7% of total revenue collected during the month. Non-hotel revenue totaled $2,811,878 and represented 30.3% of the total revenue collected during the month. For fiscal year 2026, hotel revenue collected through June 2026 reporting period totaled $82,762,502 and represented 73.3% of total revenue collected. Non-hotel revenue collected through June 2026 reporting period totaled $30,130,855 and represented 26.7% of total revenue collected. The collection expense for June 2026 was $59,339. The CVB's portion was $39,000. $559, which represented 0.6% of the CVB's monthly reporting period revenue. To date, in fiscal year 2026, the CVB expenses total $373,161, which represents 0.5% of the CVB reporting period revenue collected through July 31st, 2026. This concludes my report. Yes, sir. You wanted to know the revenue for the hotels?
No, the increase compared to last year. What was the indicator there?
Why do we do so
If
well?
you know, why did we do so well?
Why are we doing well?
You out there with a sign
The comparison.
saying, stay here.
Stay here.
You probably don't have that.
I'll defer to the marketing people as to the reasons.
Okay.
I suspect it was World Cup.
I can just give,
Ted will do that.
for the first 4 months of the year, we outperformed fairly significantly. The expectation for why that happened is because there was a very, very harsh winter up north. And what we would see is numbers trending up significantly when there's a harsh winter, particularly when it hits early. People go throughout the year coming down, greater numbers from New York, Philadelphia, et cetera, one of our major places. May was about flat, and then we don't have forward numbers, but June and July will be ahead because of what. So we did probably 5%.
Hey, just give us your last name.
Ted Bob.
Thank you.
What about room dates? They do so.
Again, that's not part of what we collect. The CVB has surveys which talk to the room rates.
Yeah, I would say that, the
You need
first
to use
quarter.
the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bob Weiser. The first quarter was very strong for the area.
You have to push the button. See the, is your green, is your light on here?
Yes, it is. Better? Okay, Bob Weiser. Yeah, the first quarter was fantastic. I have a board in the back of my office that basically says, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And it really helped. For us on the beach, World Cup June was not anything that we expected. July did better than what we forecasted, but still, it wasn't anything that everyone thought was going to happen in 2025.
So better or worse?
Worse, worse, yeah.
Our data suggests that the Miramar did extraordinarily well. Extraordinarily well in World Cup. The beach hotels did not, and it appeared that this World Cup, the visitor was more interested in spending money on the tickets and less money on spending on the hotel room. So
Exactly.
the limited service hotels did well. The high-end luxury hotels did underperform.
Exactly.
And everywhere around. Kansas.
Do we have the
We will.
impact?
We will. We'll provide them for you later on in this.
I think somewhere
meeting.
I saw 175 million.
It was not 175 million.
Was in some.
It was
report.
estimated to be 175 million. It's not. Yeah, it will come later in the meeting.
Yes, so you look at that.
We'll
So
get,
that'll come under the
we have
basically what
somewhere, whenever, we can pull it up whenever.
Will it be? Are we gonna-
Zeros,
Are we gonna discuss it today?
zeros here.
Yeah,
Yes.
today.
We'll discuss it.
Just speaking for Miramar, I mean, at the end of the day, proximity to the stadium is always going to win. I mean, we are the gateway city from Miami-Dade County. So a lot of that energy comes to us significantly. That was a
Okay.
natural fit.
We'll revisit that with you, I guess.
Facts. Absolutely.
Having said that, we'll move to chair report. I don't have a whole lot to say other than I hope your summer going well. If anything like mine, it's very, very hot. Go outdoors for 5 minutes and I go back in the house for a couple hours. I mean, I just have never, ever seen it this hot. I've gone
Heavy
to other
air.
places in the United States, it's hot there too. So, hope we have a wonderful summer. I didn't want to speak to people, but I don't have the numbers on people to accurately speak about the events that I attended. Go to the Panthers, our hotel, and zones, and some of the excitement I saw on the streets of Fort Lauderdale, Miramar, some of the other cities that really went out and voted for you. Seems that we had a wonderful time had with this opportunity for this next time. Hopefully we can get ahead of it earlier and see what we can do from our perspective to make it better than what it was. But it's a great opportunity to see that South Florida showcased so many different things. I know Miami hosted the event, but we did get a triple down or a domino effect. What I seen, I don't have the memo, and we'll get that from a little bit. But with that, I'm going to say, welcome back. And let's just keep moving forward and see what we can do to enhance Broward County and all of our 31 cities and the 5 unincorporated properties that can represent in the Broward. So with that, we'll move straight into
Just a question.
sure.
So,
And you are for the record.
Dean Trentalis, Mayor of the City of Fort Lauderdale. So I want to just talk a little bit about, this board made a decision
Well,
to,
can you hold that until she brings that portion up, and then we'll just have all the people discussion at one time. As opposed to-
okay, let's see it on the
No, no,
I'm gonna
she's
bring it
gonna
up
bring it up on
You're
her
gonna bring it
report,
on your report.
and then we'll just chime in as you like to, or under the board comments, if you will. Okay. Yes, sir. It's your floor, Stacy. Let's go.
So I know you all want to talk about World Cup. So I'm going to bring up Dr. Ted Bottomer to talk about some of our World Cup numbers. But I did want you to look at your calendars for December 10th. Let me know if you're available for the next CDC meeting on December 10th. And I know it seems a long way away, but it will be here before we know it. Well, I can send out a
Yeah.
follow-up email. And if, well, I'll send out an email and then you guys can just respond to me only.
I have a DOC.
All right, so that's a no. So we're already a no. All right, so we'll look for another day. We'll look for another day.
In
I,
December.
it'll be, well, would you prefer to do it before or after Thanksgiving?
What I'm saying, we had it, together to the 10th, and we had a date.
Sure.
So
Oh, yeah,
you
sure.
don't have- You don't get logged in.
Yeah, but I mean, I just thought that with the holidays, Thanksgiving, we'll do it between.
You got work to do.
All right, so we'll look
Figure it
for
out.
something around like the first 10 days of
Yeah, that's fine.
December. We're going to defer item 7B, committee vacancies, because in consultation with the county attorney's office, we're going to be rewriting the code provision relating to the marketing advisory committee and how they're appointed. Right now, you all each appoint one, and then collectively you appoint the remainder. But that's really cumbersome, and I don't know. I think, Tim, you were here, you and Dean, you might have been on the board when the last time we did this, or you were, it was really, really chaotic. So we're going to streamline it in a way that you all vote on all of them as opposed to each one having to pick a nominee and then voting on the rest. So we're going to defer that until the next,
If I were on the board, I'm sure it was
please put that in the minutes. Please put that in the minutes. Mayor Trendalis says he is chaotic. And so, Dr. Bottomer, would you like to make your way to the podium, or are you not ready yet?
I can do it. I don't know if you want to just send.
We want to see,
You want the presentation, or I can just do
what do
it
you want?
for my notes?
Well, we need to have you come up here because we're getting Mike into the.
So we're talking about presentation. So, yeah.
Fabulous. Okay,
Oh, that works.
See?
yeah, certainly. Okay, fabulous. I've got the slide up. Can you go to the next slide, please? I'll try to make this as brief as possible. Okay, looking at it, basically the World Cup broke down in 3 categories. The first 2 games, the second set of 3 games, and the final 2 games. This was the initial ones. The first 2 games were very weak. If you look at the performance, RevPAR is what we want to look at. So
right there, if you see the comparison between Miami-Dade and Broward, it's not super surprising because there were a lot of FIFA game ancillary activities that were down in Miami-Dade County. But the bottom line is there were a lot of people here. I expected it to look like the Orange Bowl. It didn't really look like the Orange Bowl as much as a decent college football game. Say Florida State came and played Miami down there with teams, with ranked teams. It wasn't super exciting, but it did well. But in terms of the problem came with people who didn't come because they were afraid that there were going to be massive crowds. So if you look at the off days, the hit there took us down further. So again, on net, poor performance. We were year over year worse for the beginning of that period. Next slide, please. That
OCC stands for occupancy.
occupancy, yes.
ADR stands for
Average daily rate
daily rate.
and revenue per available room. So this is utilization, how full it is, what we charge, and what the profit is. So when you look at turning the corner to the next 3 games, those were quite popular games. We increased revenue per available room by 21%. So that was kind of the heart of it, to say we really did very, very well. A lot of interest in those games, and we came out much better on a year-over-year basis from the period from June 23rd on to July 4th. So, and you can see particularly as you get closer to the game times, the performance was really outstanding. Next slide, please. And finishing up the final 2 games, which is kind of a longer period because there were breaks between them. And I thought it was important to look at the daily performance because of the fact that people were staying away if they didn't have direct business here. We got decent performance. The comparative was pretty tough for the England-Norway game. But ultimately, in terms of total, 1.5% increase in revenue per available room. So that's good. It's better than going down. Certainly doesn't compare favorably to Miami, who was up 26%. But that's really the nature of the overall experience. Much of that was happening in Miami-Dade County. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of the full period of performance, it was kind of an interesting set. So if I look at the full period altogether, we got a 4.6% increase in profit over the period from June 13th to July 19th. Miami-Dade, on the other hand, got about 24%. You expect, because it's at Hard Rock, you would expect Hollywood to do directionally better because of proximity. They were up 8. That's true. Fort Lauderdale, when you look at Fort Lauderdale overall, it outperformed Broward. The surprise winner was Miramar. Miramar has a lot of lower service hotels, meaning they don't have on-site catering and et cetera. Very good properties, kind of in the mid-range. And people who are looking for a deal, kind of a level of service, consistency, national brands, they got that. You get that in Miramar. You get good performance of execution like we get everywhere across Broward County, and they did unusually well during this period of time. When I'm looking at results, Miramar doesn't sort of blast off the page all that many times. This time it really did. You could see it from the get-go that they really did well. The next thing that I did to talk about this, can you stay back on that slide actually? Previous, is looking at higher end hotels and lower end hotels. Basically the way that the industry breaks out hotel classes. There are 6 of them. I grouped the top 3 with the bottom 3. And if you look in terms of how they performed, the higher end hotels did well, again, up 2%, but there was the lower tier hotels that were up 11. So again, you had value seeking behavior. That's going to be interesting to see if that was a World Cup phenomenon or if that's going to cascade going forward. That's really going to be kind of the key to, I would argue, overall Greater Fort Lauderdale performance going forward. Is this a new world where people are buying down because they're concerned about their pocketbooks or their portfolios or whatever people are there. That's kind of the question. When you look at Miami-Dade, it was actually the opposite. The higher end hotels just, not everybody knocked it out of the park, but the luxury particularly was off the charts. Next slide, please. And again, that's proximity, that's knowledge. And again, when people know more, they come to Greater Fort Lauderdale because it's a better experience for a greater value. If you don't know as much, you're going to chase Miami because everybody knows Miami. It's a name recognition game. And they have more on the luxury, top luxury. They just have more inventory there. So this is basically directly what I was talking about. You'll see the performance sort of from top scale hotels to the economy hotels. And you see the breakdowns are pretty clear from a Greater Fort Lauderdale perspective and from a Miami perspective. That's what we saw. And again, it's proximity, and proximity to the activities is really what was kind of the story there. Yes.
So say that it was really the limited selection of hotels which really was appealing to
Yeah, absolutely.
travelers.
Yes, exactly right. And they're not necessarily budget traveler. They're just saying, wow, I'm shelling out $3,000 for a ticket. So where can I economize? Because I still like to go to Tortola, for Christmas kind of thing. You don't necessarily have to be that to be economically minded. So what's that?
We go to Tortola for Christmas?
I used to work in the private jet industry, and I would have a crazy amount of business to Tortola over Christmas. Just saying. So that's just old habits die hard. But now I'm here doing this. Next slide, please. In terms of economic impact, let's say when I modeled it, what I tried to do was pick the big winter games and the huge winter games. And so I modeled the first two games and the consolation game. So first two and the last one were modeled after sort of an average Orange Bowl. The other ones were after a kind of halfway between the college football semifinal and the national championship. So that was sort of where I put the economics together. And when it all kind of came together, my initial estimate was between about $150 and $175 million economic impact to Greater Fort Lauderdale. And then looking at the performance, I saw a pretty significant underperformance in Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay and Uruguay versus Cabo Verde Islands, just because I don't know the reasons. Maybe didn't get it up to it. Maybe that was more Miami centric. But we probably lost half of, we're about $30 million off of my estimate. Probably 15 of that was in those two games, and the other 15 is spread across the additional games. So overall, we walked out about $130 to $140 million in overall economic impact. We were expecting 150 to 175. So with that, I am happy to take any questions. Yes, sir.
Morning, Ted. Can you hear me okay? Is this on?
I can't, but I can't through the microphone.
I'll just have to swallow the mic. Yeah, exactly. So when you say 167 million, that is a global economic impact to the county, right? Meaning.
Yes, that's right. That's everything.
When you measure it against TDC impact, because our dollars get invested, we invested what, $2 million in this event? 2 or 4? What was it?
Yes.
2. So we invested 2. What growth on the TDC dollars did we see?
There was none.
There was none.
Because the event was coming here, and it was, I don't know, it's sort of above my pay grade why those decisions were made. The only thing incremental that we got that is measurable were the watch parties.
Yeah.
So, and we look at that economic impact, but it accrued primarily to members of the community.
So, and that goes to my next question. So we, at the MAC, we decided that it wasn't a good investment.
Yes.
That was moved to the TDC.
Yes.
The TDC then suggested that that's not a good investment. I think moving forward, and then we invested $2 million, but we invested $2 million post the ability to get any parties, negotiate impact to the county, all those things. I think we need to rethink our approach, okay? Because there's certain events that we're going to participate in, right? I mean,
Yes.
for instance, if the Olympics shows up in Miami, the chances are we're going to have an impact and we're going to invest in money, right?
Where did the $2 million go?
It went to World Cup.
What does that mean?
Well,
What do you
again,
mean, what, you wrote
see,
a check?
again, this is what I'm raising because what should have happened is we should commit to something. Here's the dollar amount we're comfortable with. What do we get for that? Okay.
That's the question I wanted to raise.
That's, and we didn't do that. We wrote a check blindly and we got what we got, right? So I think I want to take this as a lesson, okay? I don't think we can take a hard line on zero contribution. That's not, I don't think we want to be a county that isn't engaged in the region. So we should be methodical about when we invest, what we get back, okay? And because what this tale is told time and time again. The World Cup gets denied here. They go around this board, goes to the commission, and the commission, with their global view, says this is important that we get involved, right? And I agree with that, we get involved. But we need to communicate our deliverables and what the expectation is way better, in my opinion.
Chair.
Yeah, please.
So I want to pick up on that because I believe the TDC agreed to spend $350,000 and then the county. I understand that correctly? Sorry?
Recommended.
Recommended 250
250.
to Stella's point. A year prior to the 90-day ask coming into the event, I think that's what he's trying to highlight, that if we had done more on the front end, not to say that the decision was good or bad, it's the decision that the board made. This was a World Cup event, the international event. Thinking globally, we should have addressed this back then. I'm not going to take anything from anyone who sat at this table. I wasn't here. The decision was made, but when it came to our way, we looked at it and we wanted to participate. So you try to break down the dollars in 90 days.
May I remind you what
Let me
happened?
finish. So we try to break down those dollars in 90 days and say, what was the impact? Those dollars impacted this time. 130.
Where was the money spent?
The money was spent in, Stacey can answer, because you started answering earlier about the local motor parking folks, if you will, and playing this out way and what we started planning. And they proposed events both in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and as a part of your sponsorship, you were allotted X amount of events. I don't have the details. Debate on it. Kevin does, because he worked on it from the county. If you want him to found out, and I think you could answer it because
Well,
you were getting ready to do it earlier. But Kevin, if you would just explain how that money worked on the 2 million side. This is Kevin, our deputy county administrator. So you can get your answer. Next.
Morning, Kevin Kelleher, Deputy County Administrator. It was a typical sponsorship package here, so we had the ability to promote, use the logo for them. So we had the marketing aspect of, there was also some add-ons where we had watch parties, clinics, and other ancillary events for that. I don't have the list in front of me, but that's,
So the county did sponsor watch parties?
yes.
Okay, because I looked at Fort Lauderdale, 2 main events were happening at the Del Mar Hotel at the Four Seasons. Those are put on by the hotels. What was the team at the Del Mar for that?
Columbia,
I'm with yellow.
Columbia, and yeah, Columbia was a.
Norway until they moved to Norway.
Yeah.
They
It was the
moved.
Four Seasons.
They eventually. Then they.
So I was wondering where the county was getting its money on. But those were hotel sponsors. And they were very spontaneous. They just filled the streets. One of the developers showed the condo. Do we count that in as economic development?
Yes.
And, but no, seriously, I mean, I share the feeling with Stacy. I didn't know how we would invest, where money would better be spent, especially since all the activity was taking place in the break. They weren't even using it, soccer stadium or anything. So it always concerned me where just writing a check, what is their value? We really gain. Very concerned as we have people so much money to work with every year. How best we spend our money to ensure the best benefit for each development. So you're saying that the $2 million that the county has to spend towards small parties and small events, was our share participating in this single company.
Well, again, you want to, go ahead.
What it was an opportunity for all Broward County participants. So we took a portion of that and we said, the city of Fort Lauderdale wants to sponsor a watch party. Not what Del Mar and the other hotels thought was necessary to do. They did. In addition to, you put up 25, we would match that with 25. Help you post.
We were told we could give you,
That's
only
just-
10,000.
No, that's not a true statement.
No,
But I don't think this is the place where we can ask that out with the numbers. I do think that every city had an opportunity to challenge Broward County to the level they want to participate. Look at Miramar, great success, which I think Miramar has done a great job anyway. They have a city I thought it has been invited and they activated. I really love going to events there. I see all sorts of culturally diverse events. But here, we only had a few takers that did this. So I know what your point you're trying to make, but Fort Lauderdale did not take us up on that challenge.
no.
And so if there was something where you were denied $10,000, you and I have to agree.
Yeah, our commissioner told us we don't take that.
Which one?
So we can match up with 10,000.
25.
Yeah. Yeah, that was separate funding, but for the $2 million, what we received is we were an official sponsor of the local host committee. And so we had all the benefits that come with that. We also had the commitment that they were going to be at the Del Mar. They also were going to be training in Broward County, as well as we had some ancillary where we had youth clinics, and the 4 watch parties that we had at the arena. And again, I don't have all the list of it. But I do want to point out that, this is being part of a sponsorship to bring something to this area. And while we could say we would have gotten the business anyway, you could pretty much say that with pretty much a lot of your sponsorships. So you got to be, I'd be cautious on that. There is some impact on it. Is it the full 167 million? I wouldn't say that, but there is some impact on us being, a sponsorship for us.
Good. Romola was next.
Okay. I think I was pretty much involved during peak hour.
Speak loud.
Peak hour.
Loud.
Am I audible? Hello? Yeah. So I think we got Broward, Fort Lauderdale got 3 teams. We had Norway, we had Scotland, and we had France. It's a great exposure to our destination. I was at Four Seasons when the team moved there. And I was watching all these, I had a couple of friends who actually are from Norway. And they were getting so many videos on Fort Lauderdale Beach because the team they were walking, they were jogging on the beach, they were swimming on the beach. And then at the Four Seasons, and I was just so thrilled to see how much media exposure we are getting. And Del Mar then got France. And also I called Conrad. They had Scotland. So we also have to value, number one, we were on board, but we were on board only 3 months. Hospitality industry knows that, when we all create our base in the beginning of the year. And then we make the deals, we give the deals. 3 months before, we still got, considering that we were late in the game, And also, I was at Four Seasons, I was talking to the guests there and visitors and asking them. And they said, because stadium is closer to Broward than it is to Miami. Their friends were in Miami and they said it took them 3 hours to get to the hotel, whereas we were here in maybe an hour. And I was there, so I know that's how long it took. And watch party, championship game, I watched at Wharf. We had 2,000 people. It's not just that, it's the excitement that we create. It's the buzz that we create of what we can do, what more we can do. I've also had question from some of the reports, and I said, how about retail? We were looking, not just me, many of my friends were looking for some jerseys for these. Nothing was available. My 2 grandsons play soccer. I was looking for jerseys for them. East, West, even university. I tried everywhere. So the retail, they said, we are sold out. We were not prepared for this. The impact was there. Economic impact was there. I was talking to Jim Pancalo at the Lagomar a couple days ago. He said, normally our summer is 3 months slow. FIFA gave us so much business that now it's going to be only month and a half in slow summer. That much. I told him I've read about 175 million impact somewhere. And he said, probably I'm going to check my reports. It's more than that. So we did get a lot. We did get a lot of exposure. Also the after effects of this, whether they came from Scotland. I mean, they were happy. They were so happy to be in our county. If Miramar got exposure, that's Broward County. So we are glad, and I think, that our reports were very accurate, that we did what we did because every match that I went to and I saw on TV, they were all sold out. They didn't budge on their prices at the high rate. So people had to naturally save somewhere. They had parties there. A lot of those parties were private parties. So we need to be at the scene, and I will really urge Commission that in future, like say, when you go to F1, it's not just FIFA. FIFA comes only 4 years, and it will go it's going to Saudi next time. So, but any sport that's at the stadium, that's our opportunity to be at the table, and also put our efforts. And that's what we did. But I made several calls, very positive reports. Everyone was happy, and they said they did great. Even Takato told me, they said, oh my God, we had so many fans staying in our hotel that we did good. And for commissioners and mayor, for you to understand just one thing, that why is it that the beach or luxury didn't sell out? But there's still ADR is high, RevPAR is high. It's because they had a very high rate, assuming that they will be sold out at that. And they did not sell out, but still they were very happy because their revenues were up and their F&B was up. So I would say, for us, something to remember, something to think, that every event that happens at the stadium, major event, we should be at the table. That will be my humble request. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
Okay. I made the comment, and
Your name?
Tim Petrillo. I made the comment initially because what I'm trying to get at is we're going to spend dollars, okay? We had a 90-day window to coordinate efforts in the hospitality community to make big impact, okay? And Ramola, I don't necessarily agree with what you said. If you look at the data tells us something different. There was a Wall Street Journal article that our market was negative 5% in room occupancy during the World Cup. Okay, we have a store in Atlanta. The same thing happened in Atlanta. I'm making this point because we need to be way more proactive. If we're going to invest dollars, we had the opportunity to invest a year and a half or a year earlier, and then we could have because there's no question it was a positive impact of the community. Up and down Las Olas, it was an absolute positive effect, and I'm very happy it was here. I'm mad because we didn't capitalize on this wonderful opportunity because we were late to the game with funding. And in the future, we should be way more proactive. We have a great coalition of tourism that can now activate pretty fast and coordinate efforts to promote the destination, and we didn't do that. And that's all I have to say. And again, and Lisa, she was part of on the committee there, so I'd like to hear her thoughts as well.
Mayor, thank you.
There we go. I know. Here's what I will contribute to the conversation. I was the CEO of the Miami Host Committee for a year and a half. I am the one who put the proposal together for Broward County. When I was appointed to this role and we did the kickoff party, I received personal messages from commissioners in Broward County saying, because I know them, because I've lived here since 1990, and Broward County has an incredibly special place in my heart. Don't forget us in Broward County. And I made the promise that I would not, and worked tirelessly to ensure that the sponsorship package that we put together for Broward County was incredibly compelling. And we fought and fought and fought with FIFA to even give marketing rights to local governments and communities for sponsorship, which we, could have done a year and a half. I know this is an autopsy, but, and I know there's nothing we can do to change that, but I think I would just echo that it was going to happen here. It's a little heartbreaking for me that, and 90 days before the commission gave the host committee $2 million with no ability to really maximize and get that return on investment, that we worked so hard to prove that we could get here in Broward County because people were going to come here. It's a great community. Fort Lauderdale's fabulous. The stadium is right in the middle. The watch parties that we had, the street signage, the airport promotion, using it on the all the logos on the Visit Lauderdale website were concessions that all of the host committees asked FIFA for that we eventually got. So I think I'm just echoing what everyone else is saying. We're going to end up doing it anyway. Doing it a year and a half in advance would have helped us close that gap, and none of us can guarantee if we would have closed it completely, but I think we could have been a lot closer.
Thank you. Any more FIFA questions before the president finishes the report? All right, hand this one. Any more questions about FIFA? Having none?
Thank you. So let me just remind you of a couple of things. FIFA came to us a year before and pitched to this body. You made a recommendation of $250,000, and we made it clear to the local committee that they had to go to the Broward County Board of County Commissioners because we did not have the authority to sign the $2.6 million they wanted in tourist development tax dollars. We told them that's what they had to do. They were very well aware of the fact that we were not the body, the Visit Lauderdale and or the TDC were not the body to make this decision. It had to go to the commission. They waited a year to go back to the Broward County Board of County Commissioners to ask for that money. So it's all very well and good to say that we should have been involved, and perhaps we should have. We gave them the opportunity. We told them what the process was. They ignored us. And they chose at the last minute to go to the board with only 90 days to prepare. I can tell you that if we had had half of that money to spend on just marketing and promoting this destination instead of Miami, we would have done better. The 4 watch parties that you all paid for with tourist development tax dollars were 75% attended by Broward residents. That's not a visitor event. That's a local event. And when we spend money for events in Miami, it's all well and good, but the deliverables should be spent here in Broward County to market and promote Broward County, not Miami. And that's where our issue was with the local committee, was that the money was not going to be spent in Broward County. So this is the process. We have a threshold, then the county administrator has a threshold, and then the Board of County Commissioners has a threshold. And all they had to do was go immediately to the Broward County Board of County Commissioners, and we could have negotiated a better deal. But with 90 days, the county's back was to the wall. and this is what we got. So while we may disagree on how much money we spend on events in Miami and which events we do spend on Miami, the process is the process, and government is government, and it just takes a really long time to get anything done. Romola, you had some questions about the Omni and the convention center.
No, I just was just curious to know, because I was looking at the marketing report, how is that doing with the bookings? Because that's very critical for us to know.
So let me give you just some really brief statistics that we compiled after you had made your request. For the convention center, room nights booked. For 2026, we had, Michael, am I looking at this right? You all know I'm a lawyer, words, not numbers. I'm looking at the convention center numbers.
Convention center, yeah. Convention center.
Can you go to the podium? Because I thought I understood them and now I'm looking at them and I don't think that I actually do. So let's do the convention center first and then do the Omni, please.
Okay. Mike Pue, VP of Group Sales, Visit Lauderdale. For the Convention Center 2026, we have 220,000 room nights booked. That's up 46% from last year. In 27, we have 60,000 room nights booked, with an additional about 150,000 that are coming in the next few months. 2028 is our banner year. We have 110,000 room nights on the books right now. That's up 215% rather. 29, 33,000 room nights, 2030, 25, and it goes on all the way to 2035. Now these are contracted room blocks.
Yep.
Yeah, 2035, yeah. So these are contracted room blocks. What's important to know here is that, of course, we have other events that come in, sports and so forth, with bring at least 120 to 150,000 room nights per year. We're actively booking into this. So if I was to do this next week, the numbers would change and increase. So it's pretty exciting. And, a little bit about the strategy. The strategy has been to really remix our book of business and get rid of the low quality events that we used to have and look for high value events that book further out. As you saw, 2035, we have one booked. Typically, historically, we'd always book 2 to 3 years out. So, that doesn't provide financial security. These events are anchored down with agreements. So they have performance clauses and all. So it really protects us. And it's a very professional tier type group that really brings a lot of spend to the area. And lastly, the events are getting larger and larger. Historically, some of the events would be about 1,500 to 2,000 room nights, which is our metrics. That's, if I came in for tonight and I stayed 3 nights, that's 3 room nights. Now they're getting to be north of 28. They're about 5,000 to 10,000. So they're getting really big. So bottom line is we're impacting many more hotels. This is a really good story. And I'll just read you a little bit of quality of the events because we're really making some headways with medical associations and the things that we want with high dollar spend. So this year, just to name a couple of groups that are coming in, Behind the Chair. This is a professional salon type event, almost 5,000 room nights. Orange Theory, I think we're all familiar with them. We have Wireless Infrastructure Association. We have the National Funeral Directors Association with 6,000 room nights. That's a little morbid, but we have the association.
They kill it every time.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Yeah, I like that. Association of Advancement of Medical Instrumentation. We have the National Center of State Courts, Society of Cardiovascular Intervention, the National Conference of State Legislators with 10,000 room nights. So this is a real big one. The Asian American Hotel Owners Association, 10,000 room nights. I'll pull out a couple more. Dave Ramsey's coming, and he's bringing about 6,000 room nights. Mary Kay with 10,000. And I'll mention one more here. American Society of Colon Rectal Surgeons and Society of Thoracic Surgeons, so you can see the quality of events. We also just booked one, a National Association for Orthodontists, 15,000 room nights. So that's an IPW. That's going to impact hotels all over town. And this gentleman back here, Eduardo, is working on Cattleman, which is another massive event that's coming our way. Cattleman out of Texas, I presume.
Undo the Omni, please.
Yeah, the Omni, so the Omni has, let's see, I don't know if I have that with me, but anyway, if I recall from memory, they sent me their group
me see if I can find
booking pace. So basically, that's the amount of group rooms that they have on the books. So that's a specific segment. The totality of that is, thank you. The totality of that is 92,000 room nights for 27. So they're basically pacing about 23% ahead of last year, or rather this year. That's the way we compare it. They really only had 1 month that was down a little bit, was March. Other than that, they're doing great. So they're rock and rolling. As you know, the structure between us is we have a stringent agreement between the county and Omni, where we represent the citywides and the outbound years greater than 18 months. And then the Omni is free to sell any internal meetings and so forth, and because they have a good amount of space. So they're absolutely jamming.
Thank you.
Are these room nights just with the Omni or with any of the?
So the citywides, by definition, have to impact minimum 2 hotels or greater. IPW was 16 hotels. Some of these other groups that I mentioned with 10,000 Mary Kay and all, that's going to be 12, 14 hotels. So
Not just one.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, way beyond that. And as we fill these hotels and we're working into the future and we're kind of backfilling and coming back to present day, you know, again, these hotels are impacted, they're filled, and that helps them because obviously they don't have to work hard to fill those rooms. They can yield their rates to a higher threshold. So everybody kind of wins.
Um,
Move the report.
Thank you.
Next, we have the budget presentation. Anderson?
Just, sorry,
Go ahead.
quick question. Are these conventions booked year to year or multiple years?
Many conventions, what we try to do is our strategy is to secure multi-year. So, you know, when you win a customer, it's never easy. It takes a lot of money, a lot of investment, and a lot of travel. So we would really want to try and book them for multi-years. We specifically want to do that because there's a lot of competition out there. I think half of Texas is doing exactly what we're doing right now. Those big centers are offline. They're renovating. They're building headquarter hotels. So we're seizing that opportunity. We want to win that business and we want to book it for multiple years. Some of this association business is very interesting because it alternates between the East Coast of the United States and the West Coast, and sometimes different years. So sometimes you get a little bit of a peak and valley to that. But does that answer your question? Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anderson?
Good morning, Vice Mayor, members of the TDC. My name is Elijah Anderson from the Broward County Office of Management and Budget. Today, we're here to present the County Administrator's recommended fiscal year 2027 Tourist Development Tax Program. And to do so, I'd like to introduce Jenna Lyons, who is our Tourist Development Tax Program Coordinator and a Senior Budget Analyst in our office to do so. So I will hand it over to Jenna. Thank you.
Good morning, Jenna Lyons with the Office of Management and Budget. I will be going through the FY27 recommended budget for the Tourist Development Tax Program. So the Tourist Development Tax Program is supported by the Tourist Development Tax revenues. The county currently levies all 6 pennies that are eligible by state law, with the first 2 pennies being levied in 1980 and the most recent penny being levied in 2018. This chart shows the tourist development tax revenue going back to fiscal year 2008 As you can see, due to the Great Recession, we saw a 17% decline in revenues from fiscal year 2008 through to 2009. It took us 3 years to rebound, and in fiscal year 2012, we exceeded pre-recession levels of TDT revenue. After that, the revenues incrementally increased up until fiscal year 2018, where you see a more significant increase in the TDT revenues, which is primarily due to the 6 penny being levied, as well as an increased use in vacation rentals such as Airbnb and VRBO. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we did see a 27% decline in revenues, but we were able to rebound, and in late FY21 through FY23, we saw record TDT revenues. After that, through FY25, there was some stabilization in the revenues, and for FY26, we are projecting an increase in revenues of approximately $135 million. This is primarily attributed to the harsher conditions in the Northeast during the winter, as well as some of the one-time events we had in Broward County, such as IPW, FIFA, and the NCAA college football playoffs. For FY27 recommended, we are projecting that it will go back to stabilized levels of $126 million. In addition to the TDT revenues, we do collect revenues from the operations at the convention center, as well as some other revenue sources such as interest earnings. We also have the line of credit, which is the funding mechanism for the arena agreement for the capital improvements there. And in fiscal year 27, we do have $94.9 million of fund balance, which primarily supports reserves and one-time capital items. Moving on to the expenditures of the program, we do have funding for the staff and operations of the CBV, as well as the marketing, advertising, and promotions budget. In fiscal year 26, we did have one-time supplements for those one-time events. And then we also have the $800,000 flat allocation for cultural support. The next 3 lines are to budget at the convention center operations. Again, in FY26, there were some one-time expenditures here. And then we do have the $15 million annually for the operating component of the arena agreement. And onto the debt service and the reserve side, we have the $29.1 million of debt service from the convention center expansion project, as well as the associated the reserve that's required of $29.1 million. We also have reserves for CVB and convention center, which equate to approximately 4 months of operating expenses, as well as a reserve for revenue fluctuation, which allows us to be insulated from economic shocks may they occur. Moving on to the capital side, we do have funding allocated for beach projects, which I will go into more detail on later slides. We also have annual allocations for maintenance at the convention center, as well as their licensing renewal. We have the $1 million annually for the Cultural and Artistic Facilities Capital Support Program, which was formerly known as the TDT Challenge Grant. There's also the $1 million allocation for the Performing Arts Center improvements. And here we can see the money for the arena agreement for the capital improvements there. And in fiscal year 27, we are allocating $15.5 million of additional pay-go funding for the future convention center parking garage project. This project is still in its planning and design phase, and we do expect to need additional bond financing to fully fund this project. There are also other capital projects on the slide that received funding in previous years but are still ongoing. Moving on to the beach capital portion of the TDT program, it is supported by the $7.4 million transfer from the tourist taxes annually. In FY27, we also have some interest earnings as well as fund balance budgeted. And in the out years of fiscal year 30 and 31, we have reimbursements from the cities of Dania Beach, Hollandale, and Hollywood for their expected contribution for the Port Everglades Inlet Management Plan project, also known as the Sand Bypass project. On the expenditure side, we do have funding in the out years for the Beach Hotspot project. This project provides funding for smaller renourishment events, and this project currently has a balance of $10.3 million available for smaller projects. We also have annual $50,000 allocations for the sand dune restoration project, as well as the artificial reef program. And there is funding provided for the Port Everglades Inlet Management Plan, which is also known as the Sand Bypass project, for numerous components of the project, such as rubble removal, mitigation reef, and the future dredging event. The next slide details some of our previous beach renourishment projects. As you can see, the most recent project done in segment 2 cost us $98 million. And in segment 3, it was $65 million. So as you can see, the cost of these projects have increased significantly in recent years, and that is one of the challenges that we are facing with the TDT funding, which moves me on to the next topic. As you saw in the previous slides, over the last several years, with the exception of fiscal year 26, we have seen revenues stabilized, and we are projecting that FY27 will return to those stabilized levels, but we still do have costs that we need to fulfill. Most significantly is that $29.1 million annually debt service cost for the expansion project that we have to pay until 2051. And with the expanded convention center, we do anticipate additional operating costs for the expanded area and improvements down the line, like I mentioned before, that future parking garage project and those associated potential debt service obligations that we will have. And as I mentioned previously, the beach renourishment projects have seen large increases in the last several years. To ensure that we still bring tourists to our destination in Broward County, we continue to provide funding for the marketing, advertising, and promotions budget. In fiscal year 19, $18.6 million was spent. Then during the pandemic in fiscal year 20 and 21, there were cost-saving measures implemented. Then in 23 to 25, we did exceed pre-pandemic spending. And the FY26 budget of $28.2 million did include 4.9 million of one-time supplements to go along with those one-time events that we hosted. And in FY27, we are recommending $23.4 million because we are projected to go back to those stabilized levels. And that concludes the budget's presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In front of you are the red folders for the next fiscal year's budget starting on October 1st. In past years, since you received the backup about 2 weeks ago, in past years, we just took questions, but it's your pleasure how you want to do this, Mr. Chair. You can go through it line by line. We can go through it department by department, or we can just take questions for things that might have piqued their interest.
What is the board's appetite? Want to go detail?
Just take questions.
Just take questions. I want to be unanimous.
Take question.
Question?
I have a comment.
Question, hold on. Question, everyone? Questions or detail?
Question.
Okay, questions it will be. Starting, let's start on this side. We'll come back.
Thank you. When we looked at the reserve amounts needed for part of the budget, with the reserve for the interest amount, the reserve for the convention hotel, what was that total? It said 120, but it was zipped up. Can you go back to that slide?
Sure. Got the presentation queued up again?
Yeah, it was like the second slide, second or third slide, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's slide number 6.
Oh,
Okay.
so right, yeah. So on the bottom, is it 122, all that zipped up, or is it that plus the reserves?
That's the sum of the
Oh, it's
debt service costs as well as the reserves. So it's not just purely reserves. It's also the annual cost of the debt service. You see that 29.
Right, but what I'm saying is just from the reserve amounts, we have, what is that, 60 million bucks?
It would probably total close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some of that is required by bonds.
No, I understand that. So really we have 60 minus the 124 that we have to really manage, right? And then we have 23 that goes to a marketing team.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to drill down. There's not a whole lot of room for these massive events and sport. So that's why even more so, we need to get way ahead of, I would like to discuss in this, for the future, in this meeting, okay, we know we have a national championship coming up in 2 years. Okay, I know we have whatever that might be. We have the Olympic, whatever that might be. Let's discuss globally what we think we might want to participate with, whether that's $1 million, 2 million, so we can factor that in and plan accordingly. Is that a possibility?
Yeah,
And we do it very reactive. We set a budget. We know there's you know, World Cup was 2 years out. We knew it was coming,
Mhm.
and we decided 3 months in advance, right? So that's what I'm getting at. Are
And I
there
would-
events
oh,
that in this budget that we know that's on the horizon for this fiscal year? Do we account for that?
What events are those?
Well, we have F1. You have, I know there's several things that, you know, come up. I don't think the national championship or playoff game is this year. I think it's next
We
year.
get well, but the next fiscal year.
Yeah,
It's in the next fiscal year budget. January is the next fiscal. year.
right. But, you know, that's what I'm getting at. I think planning really starts in the budget cycle, not when they present the TDC.
Yeah, and I would just clarify to your point, the actual reserve for CVB is only that 11.3 million. So it's not like the 60 million, because there's other reserves in there, including like the convention center operating reserve.
But that comes out of all the gross revenue of the TDC though, correct?
That reserve is funded, yes,
Yes,
towards
so,
development
so
taxes.
you zip all that up, it's roughly $60 million of the 125 to 130 that we generate, correct?
Yeah, it's mainly, that's like one-time dollars. So that's like, it's usually like not funded by recurring. So we're talking about.
Oh,
that-
okay, so
yeah.
that's already funded.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it's on the balance sheet in its own account.
Yeah, it's like fund
Okay.
balance is usually what we use to support. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In looking at this budget, I do have a question about Carnival. Melissa Dunn, City of Lauderhill. I do have a question about Carnival. I noticed here that the allocated amount is 75,000. Do we know what the request was?
We've committed to $100,000 for Miami Broward Carnival this year with the understanding that the name would change next year.
That was the agreement.
Well, we
Went back to
haven't
revisit it.
gotten to it, we haven't gotten to agreement yet with them. There's no contract, but they'll be budgeted for $100,000 for fiscal year 26, 27.
Okay, all right. 'Cause I,
We're gonna ask what, so you.
Well, the
Just
original
asking.
budget was 75.
okay,
But when they decided to move the event, all of the events to Broward County, and we looked at the economic impact, the $100,000 amount was justified based on the economic impact.
okay, great.
Just due to your recommendation. Stand that.
Well, I mean, we've been asking for that
No,
for years,
I'm saying,
but what
but we
happened
got
was FIU basically told them, we're not interested anymore.
Oh,
So,
You got there by this time.
but we got there.
Okay, great. So it's 100,000.
Correct.
All right,
And John
perfect.
Bedford knows that.
Okay, good, because I saw 75, so I
Yeah.
was asking. All right, great, thank you.
Dallas.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We're living in interesting times, and I noticed that this budget has been sanitized of all diversity, equity, and inclusion. The question is, what if there's a change in administration and the Democratic governor that's elected? Can we revisit these allocations or something? Do have to go back to some of the donations that we have, some of the grants that we've given in the past? Or is this that stuff from giving it this year?
Kevin, you want to address that?
No,
No, I want to know.
I don't think he'll,
No, what I'm saying is, here's.
well, I mean, how we do our budget, he might talk.
But what I think there's asking, in this political climate that we all live in now and being pretty much.
No, it's SB 1134.
Right. And certain things we cannot do based on current law and current political climate. We've had these experiences in the past, there's alluded to. So the question is, can we revisit it in the future? I think we can always revisit item here, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think with the climate, we just don't use those names since the law says it's prohibited. That doesn't, in my perspective, understanding, Gates an organization putting on an event. It may change the name, but I still don't think it changed the human factor that we're dealing with people, we're dealing with Broward County residents. So I think, but we're trying to argue a political point or make a climate that's just not conducive to that. And it's unfortunate. We all have different cultures, likes, or what have you. I think the only thing that separates us is our culture. Then we mingle them all together, then we get to learn about them so that we understand the importance of the event that Mr. Frank Allen, an event Mr. Dunn wants to have, what it means to the community. We just saw that with Trump, with other events. So I think we can revisit it to answer the question. No one really wants to go out on the limb unless that's your, that's your little thing. But I think here, we keep judging events based on the merits of the people of this county. And I think we would always knock out the department. Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just.
It's, I guess, generally speaking, it's a budget. So it's a blueprint. Whether it's an SB 1134 issue or some new event that wants to come to the county, they would just have to go through the process.
I guess the other question would be, is there anything that has been excluded here based on what you think from that?
Absolutely.
That's
And
the point you're trying to make.
we have done this in consultation with county administration and the county attorney's office, like every agency in Broward County has. We've gone through every single event. And this, it just, you know, we are where we are.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that things can change.
I think so. Right. So, but, okay. Thank you.
Great job, Kevin. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
We love your expertise.
You look very official up there. That is true.
He's intimidating.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Okay.
I agree with that. Next.
Yes.
Well, you have that.
Yeah.
We're going to orders down the road. You're next. You're next. You have a question, you're next.
No,
Okay.
That question, that's all. So in comparing, we did this last year with the 26 budget. Just at a high level, can someone give us a quick analysis of what we had for 26 budget, what we're expecting versus not 27? Major changes, plus and minus.
Flat budget.
Flat budget.
Flat budget. I mean, the biggest changes are the events that we took out. But, and part of the struggle that we have is that some of the conferences or sporting events are contracted post January 1st of 2027. And if we can no longer do them, but we have a contract, how does that impact the contractual obligations that we have? So, I mean, these are like, these conversations we've been having for months now. So, but the budget's flat.
Everybody's good? Then we need a motion.
Recommend.
Recommend the 2027 proposed budget.
I move the item.
Second.
Casey, you want to abstain? Yes, you have to abstain.
Okay, there's a motion and a second and fourth for the proposed 2027 recommended budget. 2027. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it.
And Ms. Motwani, you fill out the appropriate paperwork in the appropriate amount of time with respect to your abstention. Correct? Yes. Okay.
Next, we have the Marketing Advisory Committee. Control.
Yeah, so the Marketing Advisory Committee met last month. We reviewed the plan. Are we gonna go over the plan as well quickly, or are we just gonna?
If you wanna, how do you want to message from?
Well, it was approved unanimously at the back committee. I don't know if you want to see insights of the plan.
Does the board want to see insights to the plan, have a full presentation, or do you want us to ask questions, or?
And keep in mind, this is a continuation of the plan that we approved last year. It's just an update to the plan. It's the same agency, and they're still leaning into the water aspect, which is obviously you look outside these windows and that's what you see.
Water?
Yeah.
But they have, I'd like to hear about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is anybody gonna present?
You want to present?
Good morning. Atia Atkins, Visit Lauderdale.
I will be sharing part of the 27 marketing plan as well as Siobhan Deere. She's with Spark, our agency of record. So I want to start out though with an IPW recap video. Thank you guys, for the IPW support. It was a great event, great for our destination, and just want to
Hosting
share fun with you
IPW
guys.
2026 gave us the opportunity to welcome the world and showcase everything that makes this destination so special. Throughout the week, we showed that Greater Fort Lauderdale is a destination where luxury feels approachable, where global travelers feel welcome, and where our tourism community continues to evolve in exciting ways. The relationship built during IPW will create long-term opportunities for our hotels, restaurants, attractions, small businesses, and the many people whose livelihoods are connected to tourism across our community. And that's why this moment matters. And to everyone who visited this week, thank you for being here. We hope you leave inspired, energized, and ready to share the story of Greater Fort Lauderdale with the world.
Thank you for that presentation.
It's just the start. So I share that to, just to ground us going forward. IPW was a big moment for us, and we're going to use, some of that momentum in our future marketing initiatives. So into the plan. So give you a little context when where we started. We have a new agency. We did some research, how we evolved, the impact that it's created for our destination, the implications, and then we'll get into the plan with our different segments and different departments and how we're going to, have all the eyes on us. So starting in October 2024, we onboarded Spark. We conducted some consumer research, learned a little bit about our destination, how people were perceiving us. There wasn't a lot of name recognition. People didn't know we have all this water in our beaches. So we worked really hard to differentiate ourselves. We had a brand repositioning. Our new campaign is Never Lose Your Splash, which focuses on joy, letting go, forget the itineraries, have a good time, sit by the water. It's very water-centric, very youthful, very individual. So we launched that in New Year's Eve, January, with CNN, and we've just been pushing forward. We've had a lot of great moments since then. So just to back up a little bit, the business challenge was the low unaided awareness. As I said, Greater Fort Lauderdale didn't ring a bell with everybody. Some people thought it was an Army location, like the fort, like Fort Worth, so they weren't aware of where we were, where we stood for, that we were in North Florida, we are a South Florida destination, and so we had to bring that message to the people. So, and we also had to fight declining visitation. Miami was growing, West Palm Beach to the north was growing as well, and the state of Florida was also having increased visitation. We were getting lost in the sauce. But a positive note, though, is that once people found out about us and came to our destination, they're coming back, 80%, which is absolutely unheard of. So we have a strong selling point. Once people come here, they fall in love. So what we needed to do was create a new story, a new brand, and that's where Never Lose Your Splash came about. We also changed some of our marketing mix. We've moved away from print, focusing solely on print publications and mediums, and do more now video, social, and custom placements to show that we're different, to stand out more in this market. We now have seasonal campaigns. We focus on the summer and the winter, including, not excluding our overarching campaigns, but the summer and winter, we have special focus to make sure that we can get travelers here. We also launched a strategic partnership with TripAdvisor, which has been great. It focuses on accessibility, but it also moves people down the funnel to book with us as well. So that's really a great thing that we've done this year. We were the first ones to have this program. We actually started the TripAdvisor Travel Accessibility Hub, and people are chomping at the bit to get a piece of it. So that's something we're really proud of. And we've also opened it up to business participation. So some of our partners could also participate in that as well. So we're keep moving forward. We're going to build on our distinctive brand. We created mass awareness at launch. That was the New Year's Eve yacht party at Pier 66 that we just discussed. And we've opened up our new convention center. You're sitting in a product of the great things that we've done, and we're going to continue to push that message. IPW put us on a global stage. You saw people from all over the world, from India, from China, from Japan, from far and wide, enjoying our destination. And like you said, Romola, sharing pictures and talking about us, and some of that stuff cannot be measured. And we also, like I said, brought back business participation program. On the PR side, we keep talking about our brand and what we're doing and our message. And the Never Lose Your Splash brand PR has totaled approximately $5 million in ad value. And then we're stretching national, international media with some of the great things that we have doing. If you guys saw the National Lifeguard competition on Good Morning America, we're trying to be seen, and we are succeeding. We are getting seen and recognized. We also updated our website, refreshed it, and made it align with our brand more splashy, more fun, more colors, new photos. And we've seen a 50% increase in visitors year over year. And we are working on the back end to make sure we show up in like language learning models, AI systems, like, ChatGPTs, and just moving with the future of how people get their information and how they book trips. Short little
This
video
year,
about
we
where we
made
come and
meaningful
where we're going.
progress across every part of our organization. We defined our leisure audiences. We repositioned our brand around all the waterways that make us so unique. Then, we launched our Never Lose Your Splash campaign with a splash on CNN's iconic New Year's Eve broadcast with Andy Cohen and Anderson.
We added a special location this year in Greater Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Isabel Rosales joins us now for what appears to be a yacht party.
We completed a full overhaul of our creative assets, templates, and content library. We launched a new website and refreshed all of our social channels. We also relaunched business participation. We celebrated the opening of the east expansion of the convention center and welcomed the global travel industry through IPW. Together, these milestones strengthened our brand. They expanded our reach, and it's working. We've reversed declining visitation and seen an 11% increase since the launch. We've also seen an increase in market share, stealing from both Palm Beach and Miami. And we've seen a 16-to-1 economic impact. We've already done so much. So let's keep it going.
Okay, and with that, I will let Siobhan Deere take over from Spark to get more in depth with our marketing plan in our different departments.
Thank you, Tia. I'm Siobhan Deere. I'm with Spark, Visit Lauderdale's agency of record. And just coming off of that wonderful video, want to kind of ground ourselves in the measurable change that we've already seen since the launch of Never Lose Your Splash. We've seen increases in visitation, market share, economic impact, and added value. Just with the small shifts we made in 2025 before the brand refresh, we did see a pretty big swing from declining visitation up to a 3-point gain. That's a 5-point swing. And then moving into 2026, when we did launch this amazing campaign that you guys all saw in that clip, we have seen a 11% year-over-year growth in just 4 months. And while Ted did point out that, whether World Cup may have had a contribution, he forgot to mention that we also launched this huge new campaign, new brand platform, and we're seeing that success, not only with visitation, but also a 5% growth in market share from our biggest competitors. Also, for the first time in a couple of years, the TDT revenue is up by 13%, again, only in just the first 4 months of this campaign. And past those original metrics we just talked about, we're also seeing over delivery with our campaigns, garnering added value. We're negotiating and measurement for added value as well at no charge. We're negotiating lower prices, additional campaign elements at no additional charge. And as Atia mentioned, we created a brand new accessibility hub for TripAdvisor that they're touting now, that they created in partnership with us for our focus on accessibility.
Hold on, Siobhan, one sec. Let me just, about the value add. So the CNN buy for New Year's Eve, the CNN was a media buy over months. The live portion on the yacht was given to us by CNN as an added value. It didn't cost us anything to do that 3-minute segment. Those are the kinds of things that we negotiate when we're talking about media buys. Well, this part's great, but what are you giving us that we're not paying for? And in CNN's case, it was this, 3-minute segment from the yacht at Pier 66. That's value add.
Yeah, actually, the mention, Andy and Anderson mentioning the destination all was completely added value. We only paid for the commercials that ran in the ad break. So thank you, Stacey. So what this is telling us is our current strategy is working. Our job now is to amplify that. But we also want to do so while keeping in mind some trends that we're seeing in market, some that we can control, like our audience focus, but others that we don't have control and we just need to navigate, like economic concerns and industry factors. So starting with what we can control, our audience focus, as Atia mentioned, we did a lot of research to identify where is the biggest opportunity, and the biggest opportunity is with luxury. That continues to work in our favor in this economic time, because what we're seeing in the market is while travel may be down with needing to, pinch pennies a bit more, luxury travel remains resilient. So we're already hitting the right people even before the economic downturn. But that economic uncertainty is real and we can't necessarily combat that ourselves. So how do we navigate? We make sure we're keeping an eye on the pulse constantly. For this year, right now, what we're anticipating is a higher percentage of drive-to vacations because of rising costs of fuel, airlines, et cetera. However, like I said, we are going to keep an eye on this so we can pivot quickly if air travel does actually remain higher than anticipated.
We stop right there.
Oh, yeah.
So in recent conversations I've had with representatives from JetBlue,
Mhm.
they're looking to increase their capacity here.
Yes.
Has that been factored into your analysis?
Yes, absolutely. We're actually in talks with JetBlue to see if there are any partnership opportunities. I've already benefited from their increase, filling that gap from Spirit Airlines. And we're also keeping an eye on other airlines that might be filling that gap from Spirit's sudden departure as well.
So that last line you have down on the screen, there, those
Mhm.
that drive revenue. How will the marketing of JetBlue, for example, impact that suggestion?
Yeah, and just to be really clear, the stat at the bottom there, that's for travel domestically overall, not necessarily only to Lauderdale. However, that's why Spark keeps a very close eye on trends throughout the year, and a lot of our marketing plan is designed to be nimble and pivot, so we can pivot as we see those trends change. So if we can, if that 71% that right now the industry is anticipating is lower and air travel becomes a bigger figure, we can pivot to make sure that we're focusing on wherever the demand is. And the other good news thing, or the other good thing here is luxury is remaining resilient, but also when people are prioritizing their spending in this economic time, they're focusing on emotional and experiential value versus materials. So coming to Lauderdale for that experience is something that is top of mind when they're identifying where they want to spend their dollars. So this tells us we need to maintain our focus, continue focusing on the luxury audiences we just defined, continue focusing on domestic markets holistically, and emotional storytelling. And as we kind of just discussed, we'll keep an eye on emerging opportunities. That's including drive travel for summer, but also any new airline partnerships that may increase like JetBlue or fill the gap like Breeze Airways. So now that we've looked at what's happened in the past, now let's look ahead to this next year. We're going to go through the various objectives because they are very tailored to the different segments. So starting with leisure, our objective here, of course, is to drive visitation with consumers. And we'll do that by continuing to reinforce our new position in the market. Just to quickly remind us and ground ourselves in our audiences, these are our two luxury audiences. There's, luxury means something different in every place in the country. Luxury in New York is very different than luxury in Montana, let's say. So our audiences are defined by who they are, not what their income is only or what their age is only. And we partnered with TED to make sure that our market strategy is taking advantage of the most opportunity. We're staying in the same focus markets and in-state markets. However, we are identifying areas to test the biggest opportunities in international markets, such as some Canadian markets as well as lithium. And then, oh, sorry.
Have you done any research on Canada travelers? Because I come from the travel business, so a lot of conversations that I have are way down. And so have you seen that? Because I see Canadian markets are two markets in your focus. How do we think about offsetting that decline from 5%?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to the numbers, I will defer to Ted because he is the numbers wizard.
Let's finish the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Hold that.
Yes.
We can get to it.
Okay, sure. So back to the strategy, we are planning all of these segments based on 3 key pillars: scaling awareness, deepening relevance, and then conversion. So we're going to scale awareness for leisure, really reinforcing that brand positioning that we launched this year with New Year's Eve. We'll deepen relevance by activating on seasonal demand, and then focusing on conversion by continuing to grow our business participation program that we relaunched this year, and a really strong layer of lower funnel support. And as you can see, and we've discussed, a full funnel approach is really required here to make a difference. You can see at the bottom, our little inverted triangle down there, we have an 80% return rate. That is unheard of. That means that you guys are all doing a wonderful job of creating an experience people, once they get a taste of, they want to keep coming back. But that demand dries up. So we can't only focus on lower funnel booking because we don't have the demand that will last. We also need to constantly fuel that funnel, starting with awareness, so we can push people down the funnel and keep that 80% return rate up, but also impact that very small 6% unaided awareness. So this is what we're recommending at Bird's Eye View. Like I mentioned, we want that really strong layer of intent booking, lower funnel, always on. So we're always capturing that demand, but also having an always on approach with awareness. So we're constantly fueling the funnel. And then we'll take some advantages of moments that matter with seasonal messaging in winter and some really big splash moments in winter and summer as well. Oops, sorry, went too far. And then, of course, from the earned media side, from a PR standpoint, these are still the same planning pillars. We'll scale awareness by really expanding that global storytelling. We'll deepen relevance with strengthening leadership visibility, and then focusing on conversion by really, leveraging the IPW impact and creating an always-on content engine. And something you will always hear me talking about is measurement, because if we funnel all this money somewhere, we want to make sure it's paying off. So a measurement plan is something really important that we have in place. We'll be looking at the increase of overnight visitors, unaided awareness, and of course, market share. Moving to meetings and convention, we're of course here focusing on increasing the volumes of meetings by strengthening our position as a premier meetings destination. We'll do that by scaling awareness, by positioning where we are right now, the convention center, and maximizing strategic partnerships to sell the convention center story, deepening relevance really by strengthening that storytelling, and then focusing on conversion by taking a look at the booking process and seeing what optimizations we can make. Measurement here will be focused on an increase of events and the economic impact those events bring. Moving into global travel trade, here we're really focusing on supporting international travel, and we'll continue to build off of the wonderful momentum started at IPW. We'll scale awareness by continuing to scale those established both domestic and international relationships. We'll deepen relevance by expanding the toolkit that we have on hand, and focus on conversion by converting the momentum of the 1,600 plus buyers that were here for IPW. Last but definitely not least, sports and entertainment, which is focused on promoting the sports and entertainment venues. We'll continue to build that asset library to support that messaging. We'll scale awareness by strengthening the messaging within annual resource guides, deepen relevance by leveraging really important strategic partners like the Panthers, in the English Premier League, and then focus on conversion again by really optimizing the website and that booking process. Here, measurement is focused on increase in events, attendees, incremental room nights, and of course, economic impact. So what all of that means, we're taking a look, this is a look at the budget by both segment and channel. We laid a great groundwork last year, but we are optimizing a bit, making some shifts. This is no longer focused on the brand launch. It's now on sustaining the impact and building that momentum. That's all I have for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With that, take a question from the board. We'll let Ted follow up on her question in reference to Megan.
Yes. Yes, like I said, Ted can, right, Ted can definitely speak to the numbers a lot better than I can. However, we were watching that decline, and that's why in fiscal 26, we only focus on domestic spending. But as Ted's going to talk about with the numbers, they are showing that there's an opportunity to maybe start to turn the tides. So that's why we chose very intentional markets based on the numbers. And we're starting just with a test, and we'll build from the learnings and measurement we see there.
That's good.
Oh.
So we don't need Ted.
Sorry, Ted.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Yeah.
Good job, Ted. Thanks, Ted. That was good.
Paula has stuff.
We're going with Mr. Bradley.
Yes, thank you. This is really great. As someone who appreciates experiences, I think this is a great concept. The rest of Broward County doesn't necessarily have access to beaches, so I would love to see some consideration of how we can incorporate the experiences offered in Central and West Broward County into the campaign. I've noticed on social in particular, you guys are highlighting more of the parks around Broward County, and I love that. Just want to make sure that the rest of the county that doesn't have access to beaches really is also included as you attract folks who are into experiences.
Absolutely. And while beaches, of course, that is beautiful. We aren't only focusing on beaches, it's owning the water all around. But we know that there are 31 distinct municipalities here. Not all of them are beach, not all of them are as water focused. And we've already been in discussion with the marketing team throughout the segments on how to make sure we're showing love to all of the municipalities and what they have to offer, not just, the ones within walking distance of the convention center.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, just to add to that, even
Yes.
like our sports venues are on the west,
Mhm.
whether it's Panthers, it's cricket, it's so many other opportunities that we can highlight.
Yep.
Also, just a thought on JetBlue,
Mhm.
130 flights daily is huge. Do you think there's any opportunity to kind of, they have expanded their footprints. They are going to so many destinations and we are focusing so much on domestic market because of political climate. So any opportunity where, we can market ourselves or have some partnership with them, and also they are going to add first class from October.
Yes.
They are really competing with America.
Absolutely. I took one of their flights here this morning, so I'm appreciating their increase in flights. And we are actually in discussions with JetBlue specifically about, is there a way for us to partner together? And we know that's an important relationship, so that's not something we're just looking at fiscal 27 for. That's a long-term discussion. And if we are looking to partner with them, we want to make sure we're thinking long-term, not just immediate.
No comments from the board? Perfect.
Thank you for the presentation. I just want to comment that this is the first time since I can remember, since I've been on the MAC or the Marketing Advisory Committee, or the TDC, that all the agencies that market outside of our destination, whether it be the Alliance, whether it be DDA, have a very similar messaging. Okay, they have the DDA's is don't lose your splash. Bob is working on something with the Alliance. So now when people are outside of our destination are looking at our destination, it's a very consistent message, which I'm really happy to see.
Let's have a comment, and I think those of us that led cities, county, you said that we're leaving print, moving to a different direction. I think that's so important. Highlight, as I travel around the country, and particularly the United States, it's attended the convention in Cincinnati. Our sign ordinances are so outdated. We made some concessions in our report out there for a few of our friends who needed something that would highlight their businesses. But what I've been seeing is these messaging boards, billboards, LED stuff. And when I was in Cincinnati, and in my convention I was at, everything we did was on First Third Banks marquee at the event space in that city, and it was just so welcoming. The vestibule there, everything from that, the attendees of that convention, it was marketed. So I see an opportunity here to revisit our ordinances. I see places where we could do this, like Color Top Park. Every time we pass by, there's just nothing going on unless we have a plan to there. It's a good place for a board. Parking door. We don't have it. You see it in Miami, you see it in Atlanta, you see it in all those other places. And 20 years ago it was scary. Something we didn't want to live. Or see. But it's the future. It's where we're going. So if we can just revisit our city ordinances and our signs, I think we can capture the momentum of this marketing pickup campaign. And I think the communication is great.
So to your point, it's interesting because if you look at Miami Beach and Miami, there's a different vibe. All that glamour, splash, celebrity. They kind of want. But if you look at Fort Lauderdale, people push back, want a quieter existence, and I get a lot of complaints from people feel that Fort Lauderdale Beach in particular suffers from sign pollution. Too many cities have, as you come to the convention center here, you see Visit Water, big that violated outside. We conceded that necessary to bring presence of the convention center. And it really looks nice. And I think we also violated the whole law. We added that lighting feature to a parking lot. And told us, but we did a concession because it was decorative.
You and I.
Right.
Made that, split that vote. We got it done. Doesn't work anymore.
No,
It's good. It's back. It's back. The bridge, different story, but the parking lot.
Yeah.
Better than that. And so there are opportunities, but just, I just want you to keep in mind that we get pushback from folks on our, we don't want to see a lot of big splashy key titles. Like, for example, you cross over Miami Beach, you cross over the Paul Spring, coming on 31st Street. And just before you get to Halls Road, there's that stand of palm trees with neon lights around them, deck of the palm trees, and it says, "Welcome to Miami Beach." That would be an anathema to people who just feel we don't want. So, but there are opportunities to complement what we have that we feel it's appropriate to integrate signage into the environment. So I'm not disputing what you're saying.
I think we're saying the same thing. We sat there when we were really bad. We said, we don't want anything. But now as we evolve, I think we can look at it on a case by case basis, but we should have the laws ready to go if these opportunities. And I think of this sign right here. That is good. It's amazing. Yeah, that's that sign. Imagine if you sent up a message to approve or anything that we're doing. That's a great gateway. A great. We can turn it off at 9 o'clock, so I don't wake you up. But we're gonna have black lives no matter what happens. I think the majority of the people here, they want change. They want activation. They want what we're selling. This marketing plan is great when we move forward, and you and I can work out the kinks. I'm inviting all the cities to revisit it so we can get these messages across all 31 cities and try to incorporate it. It's important. Very, very important that our message gets out there. We keep saying that we want to go beyond the water. This is our opportunity to seize it, but always manage it the way we need to do as leaders. Any more questions from the board?
Great, Mr. Chair. I think that's a great point, Mr. Chair. What would be helpful from my perspective is how could we then incorporate what you have in our community where, you know, we don't necessarily have water. And so that would perhaps be the guidance that would be helpful.
I agree. I think they hit on a key of some of those we've always had when we say, you know, from the seagrass to the sawgrass, from the port to the mouth. I mean, we try to capture, but now we need to incorporate some of the small things. I think this board is on its way to doing those and encompassing more of that based on what I'm hearing from the president and this marketing plan. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, not at all. But I'll tell you what would be helpful for us. And first of all, let me thank Miramar, Lauderhill, and Fort Lauderdale for your presence at IPW. It was extraordinary. Is let us know what you want us also to highlight. We are like you, you know, have only so many people, but we have an amazing social media team, and we particularly like to highlight. And this may not be your focus, but small businesses. You know, where can we send people where it will really make the biggest impact to you know, the best jerk chicken is in Lauderhill. Where? That kind of thing, which is unique and experiential. And this is true for all the cities, but that would be very helpful. You know better than anybody as a representative of the city, where we can send people, because recognize, you know, if you're staying on the beach, there has to be a reason to go. And it could be a rainy day. That could be the reason. But that kind of stuff, it blows up on social.
Got it. Thank you.
And
On my way.
to add
Any more
to
questions?
that, oh, sorry.
Is there- you have-
Just to add to that quickly, to the mayor's point about like the flashiness that we may push back on here. That was really thought about as we developed the campaign and the assets. If you know, from looking at the presentation there, hopefully you felt that it's not the flashy stuff that Miami puts out, right? It's really approachable luxury. So hopefully as you guys make those concessions and show that within the communities, it doesn't feel like as garish as maybe Miami might.
Thinking, I encourage the board, don't just do this at this meeting. The president's staff, they have open door policy pretty much, and they want to hear these ideas, from what I get. So please get them to us before the board meeting. With that, any comments, discussion?
Oh, you did a motion to recommend.
We didn't,
Oh, market
I
plan.
move to
Yes.
recommend we recommend the,
Marketing plan,
the submitted.
2027.
second,
We have a second, to, approve the recommended marketing plan for 2027. All in favor? All against? Ayes have it. And we'll move on to comments from board members. Any comments? Shouldn't have any because we've been doing it all along. Having said that, public comments are next on the agenda. It's my understanding, President, that there's a public comment from a entity. Would you like to expound or let us know who that is? And
The Marine Industries Association wants to speak to you with respect to a proposal during public comment.
And the person representing the marine industry is?
I don't know who's speaking.
I was going to speak in the chat after, if that's okay. If you two would like to walk up to the microphone, so we can keep moving this forward and introduce yourselves and please,
Yes, ma'am.
appreciate it.
I was, are we having our comments want to bring up or we just ask that?
What's public comment?
Okay.
So we already passed our comments.
Oh, I had it.
You said-
Was that the comment on the marketing or comments in general? That's what.
Any comment or discussion, not agenda item.
Okay, I do have two. I do have two after the presentation. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Go ahead, Phil. Introduce yourself.
By all means, I'm Phil Purcell, CEO of the Marine Industry of South Florida, owner of the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. So thanks, Vice Mayor. Thanks, President Ritter. What we're going to talk about today is sponsorship, media buy, whatever we want to cover it. For those who don't know what the marine industry is in South Florida, it's an $18.5 billion industry, a little over 120,000 jobs. 9.8 of it is in Broward County. So it's a big, significant thing. Statewide, it's about 35 billion. So we're half of the state in terms of what we do between Palm Beach and Miami here. When you think of FLIBS, it delivers $1.8 billion economic impact, has over 100,000 attendees. We'll do over 5 days, we'll do a little over 824 million in sales just within that 30-day window after the show. That's $165 million a day changing hands here. We get 100,000 attendees, 90 countries, of which 500 journalists from around the world come with those 90 countries here also. We're the largest and longest user convention center space. So when this thing opened, we started using it. We're the largest still. Also, when you think of the attendees and you think of who comes into our town and the people that have made big impacts in our town, the Jim Morans of the world who built more Fed ships than anyone else. So when you think of luxury, and also the Wayne Huizengas of the world, they all stay here because of our industry at the end of the day, and they appreciated that. But it also brings the Sergey Brins, it brings the Eric Schmidts, it brings the Larry Pages, it brings Michael Bloomberg here, it brings Tommy Hilfiger here, it brings the who's who of the world to Fort Lauderdale. They would not come here for the most part if it wasn't for this boat show. What we want to do is build a partnership with you. It's not a one and done thing. There's a story here that this community can tell, and our platform's the biggest in the world. Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show is the biggest in-water boat show in the world, bar none. It's also the biggest event that happens in this whole region, bar none. And in the state, I'm sure it's in the top 3 events that, in terms of what happens. So what we want to do is build a relationship with Visit Lauderdale, with the county, to highlight the opportunities, because what you're all talking about today, when returns and percentage stuff, it's all about jobs. This is all about jobs at the end of the day, visiting here. We're real good at doing that. The argument is, well, it's a legacy. The argument would be it's a legacy event. No, there's so much more that we can build on this event and tell the story of Broward County from west, from the from Sawgrass out to the ocean. So Jeff Swobit is a partner in Short Shoot Media, and so he's going to give a little presentation, which he's done several times. And I welcome Jeff. Sure.
Hi there. I want to thank you all on the council for being with us today and thank everybody at Visit Lauderdale. We've had a lot of pleasure in working with you in years past. So I'm Jeff Swoboda. I'm a partner in Short Shoot TV. We produce broadcast TV shows, satellite media tours, and custom content all over the nation in sporting worlds and B2B events. And every year our highlight is what we do here in Fort Lauderdale. We've worked with the whole community here, including Visit Lauderdale, FXE, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, the Marine Industries Association, and Informa since 2018. So what we'd like to bring to you, it's really a proposal towards a media buy and sponsorship to be the presenting sponsor of the broadcast we do every year here. This is a broadcast that started on NBC Sports in 2018. It's now migrated to be a national broadcast on Fox Sports. And it really uses what you have here, which is the largest marine industry event on the globe, the largest event in South Florida, as a halo to showcase broader travel and lifestyle opportunities here. And that's really what we try to do in our show. So while they're looking at the boats, which are the stars of the show, we've done highlights on Lauderdale by the Sea, we've done highlights on Dock and Dine, we've done highlights on Calouse. We've done highlights on new properties opening, like Pier 66 and the Four Seasons. So what this is, there's really two big elements to it. There's a broadcast program that gets premiered on Fox Sports and run over and over because it's a really kind of an evergreen program. It's not like a basketball game that you know who won it a month ago. And then also there's a satellite media tour that's run live here. So we're doing live hits. That's something that's network agnostic. So we're doing live hits. We could be on a CW network in Houston telling people what's going on here in Fort Lauderdale, both at the boat show and in the destination. We could be on NBC Channel 2 Detroit. We could be on a television program in Orlando. And one thing we've really seen is after doing this for 8 years, as I travel, whether I'm at the Indy 500 or Monterey Car Week, I bring up the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, and people, they say, "Oh, I've seen that on TV. I love it. Fort Lauderdale looks great." We've seen a repetition in our market, and now we have talent from the college football world, from the NASCAR world, from the Indy 500 that everybody wants to come be a part of this event. And then just personally here, I think there's a huge opportunity. I've been to a lot of convention centers. I used to work in the trade show industry, and what you have here is truly special on the water, brand new facilities, an outdoor plaza, great indoor space in a contiguous manner. So that's what we're proposing here in a manner that can use the largest event you have here in the community and that is named after the destination as a broader halo effect on both lifestyle, travel, and business.
What's the ask?
It's a $242,000 investment.
What do we get for that?
So you would be the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show presented by Visit Lauderdale. You would get in-show highlights that you can repurpose then beyond the broadcast. You get 30-second ad broadcasts, and then you get out-of-show content that you can reutilize. And then on the satellite media tour portions, you would have the lead messaging. So you could just highlight, hey, we're here. These are the 7 new properties that are opening this year in Fort Lauderdale. They're packed. And then that's what you really get the lead messaging in all of it, and then you get to repurpose it throughout the year.
So what you're saying is, think back on you, public comment is to ask us to revisit. Sorry.
Wants to amend our budget to include them. Is that for this year?
Yeah.
And what was?
It's for next year.
It's for 2027.
No, it's for this year is what we're asking.
This year starts October 1st.
It's for this boat show.
This boat show.
This show starts.
End of October.
This is 2027.
No, when do they want to do this?
When did the ask come in?
We started this conversation in December and January.
When was the result? The application.
There is no application. This is a media buy.
Request.
January?
January.
And what was the response?
Well, we've been negotiating with them since January.
What amount?
$100,000.
You asked about how much?
224.
242. And we've got some papers there Lori can share with you as well.
Why don't we have Spark? Spark does all the vetting for our media buys. This is not an internal vetting. This is a external vetting. Do you want to have Spark come and talk about?
I want to see how we got here and we're ready to do revisit it. Amend it. So,
Well,
again, not to take away from what we have done, it's just to highlight that this is a major event that we have every year that's bringing billions of dollars to town. So I would hate for $240,000 based on what I'm hearing.
Mhm.
And to be a detractor in this, and maybe there's another way that we could get there. If in fact, after we hear from Spark, they didn't meet a criteria or process measure that.
Okay.
Is that there? Spark? Yeah, come on up, please. Ultimately, this board, where we want to go with this, if we want to do this at all. So with that,
understand this is a media buy.
I get it.
So the process is not for the TDC to weigh in on media buys.
Okay.
Just so you know. And Visit Lauderdale doesn't buy media. Spark buys media.
Okay, so maybe you just answer my question. If we don't participate in media buy, is there another way we can do this? Like maybe we turn it into sponsorship for the event, and how Phil and his group deals with that. It's another way, since we can't, if I'm correct, interfere in how marketing or how we buy media is done. So obviously they didn't meet the criteria of that process under that 10. So maybe we can revisit it.
Well,
if it's the applicant board.
If it's a tourism sponsorship, then they have to apply. And then this board has to, because it's not budgeted, has to review the application and make a recommendation. And then we go to contract negotiation. And part of the struggle has been, there have been no contract negotiations. It has been a take it or leave it proposition. Well, Spark has spent 100 hours on negotiating with,
If I may, that's not quite accurate. We contacted you in December. We did not get a response from you till March. So it was on your plate since March before you reached out again and then had meetings.
okay, but you can't deny that Spark has spent 100 hours on this. And that there have been, we have attempted many times to have a negotiation, and this has been the proposal.
We asked Spark to show us their metrics that they use for their things, and they've never provided it.
That is not, Phil, please.
100% true.
Come on.
So-
I mean, this has been such a struggle for us, you know that. It's not
It's
that
been a
we
real
don't want to
struggle
do
for us.
this,
It has.
but you haven't provided the information that was requested.
We asked you exactly for it, Jeff.
Well, let's have Siobhan talk about it, because we didn't vet it.
So here's this. I first asked the question. Here's stuff. It was Spark and then Spark approached the mic and Spark process can't be interfered with by this board. So I'm taking a different approach to it. We can amend it as a sponsorship since the event is right around the corner. Not want to spend another however many months we have going back and forth with who's on the first, who's on second. I'd like for this board to give me their comments on how you want to move forward with this so that we don't make this mistake next year. We go down the right path. I think right now, the event is around the corner. We all know how important this event is to our economic engine here in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of the number one attractive. So we're talking about difference of $100,000 on that to make this happen. So we don't meet one criteria. I'm asking for if we can just amend it. Difference. Reallocate the whole thing as sponsorship so we don't have to interfere with the process for most of the day. And I think we could do that one way or the other.
Well, your own process requires a tourism sponsorship application, and then this board review, then there's internal vetting at the CVB with respect to the sponsorship, and then it comes back to this board for a recommendation. and then it goes back to the TDC. That's the county commission.
We don't meet again until December. So we need to do something now.
This feels like World Cup. Here we go.
And if we can't do it now, there's another avenue I want to.
Can I make a comment?
See what this board appetite is. And as we're revisiting some of the things that you mentioned earlier, about redoing the process. I think we need to revisit a lot of things as we move forward in terms of process. This is a good example. How we are stuck with this now, talking about an application. We don't really get until
December.
And I'm sure there's a way we can do this. All the nuts and bolts to it, but I know the power resides in this board.
Do you want to know why the EDI doesn't work the way it's
We can't
proposed?
interfere with that. So
Okay.
that's over. I'm trying to figure out
Okay.
how do we amend it to get sponsorship, and we can move on, and we can work out this piece later on about where we went wrong. Mark. So, Kevin, do you have any ideas? Hold on a second. Hold on.
It seems to me that there's 100,000 for immediate buy. If it's the council's desire to do something on the end of the sponsorship, even though it's not consistent with what your practices are, you guys can collectively agree to come up with some sponsorship money if that's your desire. But it seems like because of the timing and stuff, you're gonna have to give the instructions now so Stacy and her group can negotiate the appropriate deal.
Kevin, they can't waive an ordinance.
That is
Board
my
cannot- that's why-
concern. The administrative code does call for the CBB to process in writing all the factors that they would evaluate a sponsorship application first. So then that we would have to follow the instructions that are required to be followed under the code.
Speak loudly.
We would,
We'll come to that.
Administrative Code 1332E has the steps that are required to be followed for a sponsorship application. The first step is for CBB to determine in writing whether the factors that the code requires CBB to analyze are met. So that would be a threshold issue that needs to be dealt with before the TDC can further recommend
Or amend.
or correct.
Can we make a decision today to allocate a certain number of dollars subject to implementing the requirements that you just described? Can we do it that way? Because they've been dealing with this for a number of months now. And here they are today. Decision has to be made today because the vote shows the end of October. We don't meet again until December. And I do believe this is a signature event for all of South Florida.
Absolutely.
To participate, shame on us. They need to really capitalize on their event. From the city of Fort Lauderdale's perspective, be in the name. So it's not for my city to really say, okay, well, we need this because we want city branding. City of Fort Lauderdale is already branded. But if we have an opportunity for a visit, be able to capitalize on internet, videos, to help enhance the global experience here, I think that this is an opportunity for us to take advantage.
And the question here is, can we amend, if not, Kevin, what's our next step? I know the next step. What I can do, but I would like for it to be done with this board, if necessary. If not, we meet on the 20th.
We're happy to sponsor
Sorry,
with the
Kevin.
boat show. No, but if you can just let me, Mr. Mayor, please
But I
explain what
started
we
out
would
down
like
this
to do.
road, and I'm looking for the answer. How do we amend it today?
We would be very happy to sponsor with the marine industries. That is not what this is. This is a production
I got
company
you past that
Fine.
marketing part.
We're happy to
I'm on
negotiate
now a sponsorship for them for the
to
amount
work
that they
with
ask.
Phil somehow to get to a sponsorship with Marine Industries and FLIBS, not with a production company, on deliverables that work for both parties.
So, and that's where I think this council can give that direction to the president to go do what she needs to do to get a sponsorship with Marine Industries, maybe not, and get the criteria that she needs out of it. Can that be conditional or does that work?
Here's the
under
problem that I'm having, and perhaps I need to just do some research if I could have a little bit of time. But the language of the administrative code says for all proposed tourism event sponsorships that were not included in the CVB's annual budget approved by the board, the CVB shall conduct the review described in subsection E1 above. The CVB president shall then submit a recommended proposed tourism event sponsorship and the recommended incentive to the council for review. So the code does call for initially for CVB to analyze what the appropriate amount is, then submit it for a recommendation to the TDC to review. Ultimately, the CVB president does retain the authority to approve or not the final sponsorship and what it looks like. I think that the timing would be the difficulty here. And also just to confirm that this does qualify as a tourism event or an event that can be sponsored. Because media buys have a different analysis, right? Since we're dealing with restricted funds, sponsorships have restricted ways that they can be handled versus media buys, the analysis is a little bit different because it's more of a
The
market.
president just came up with a suggestion that might work. And that is, we can waive our orders, take it to the board, let it give both president and the host show an opportunity to get this done in an expedited time.
At the $100,000.
But to total 240, however we have to do it. Is that,
I don't know if we have those anything.
no, not in addition to it, but just a total. It already has been proposed. You take it all as one sponsorship. Am I,
Well, we could look to split it between two fiscal
would it be
years.
easier that way?
I just don't know how much money we have left today for the rest of this fiscal year. So if you would just allow us to figure that part out, but how we could best fit this in our budget, that would be.
Okay, so you're
So
saying
when can we,
two or so.
we're trying to get to 240.
Okay, so up to 242, 200, or less than 100,000. Subject to review by the president.
They already have 100,000, so I think 240 should be the level.
No.
I thought they had 100,000.
We offered a hundred.
It
It was
wasn't accepted
rejected.
yet. Okay.
So we haven't put anything in this.
So you actually offered 250s. You offered 50 this year and 50 next year. That was your offer in writing.
So,
It's not what,
don't
this
worry
is
about
on an
it,
annual.
Bill. What we are proposing now is to get to 240 for the event. We waive whatever necessary ordinances so that president can expedite this, the time and manner, and make a decision.
I don't know if we're waiving, we just say.
Well, you have to waive the orders, otherwise we can't get past the board,
County commission.
county commission. So I recommend that we waive the code.
Following up on Mayor Trentalis, I was asking legal counsel here if this board can give direction to the president based on the information. I should give direction to the president to go ahead and negotiate, for the recommendation. And then, the president and her team will go and negotiate and come up with terms. And if the terms get there, the deliverables and all that, then you have an agreement. If you don't, then it goes to the next step. That would be the waiver of the code, to go up to the board.
So we have, Karina, we have the right to, I'm confused now.
Okay.
So we just ignore the admin code?
No, the admin code talks about analysis and analysis being brought to, you still do your analysis. What I'm suggesting here, and I'm asking legal counsel to make sure it's compliant here, is that if this council is all in agreement that they want to do this, they understand that there's been some analysis done, but there's more further analysis that would be done. But based on that outcome of that analysis, they would be giving the direction to go forward with this as a recommendation.
That's what I was doing.
Yes, do that. That way
Okay.
gives us two avenues to get that.
let me, if I can have just 5 minutes to just double check that that is appropriate. My only concern is how the code is written and just to double check that reversing the order is okay. As long as all the steps.
Subject to.
It's a recommendation.
Well,
Yeah, subject to the analysis.
My concern is that the code calls for the CVB president to present the sponsorship package to the council for the council to then review and recommend. In this, we don't have a package that the president is proposing now.
So not have that, Kevin.
It,
And also,
if I could, recommend, let's give the attorney their 5 minutes. You can go on to your other non-agenda items, and then we can resume this if that's okay.
Your favorite.
Before you leave, yeah,
Yeah, but then now we're, yeah.
So right now, before Mayor Trent is this, can we just get a motion for the recommendation to move down this act? That way, in your absence,
And that would be my motion. Can I ask one question? Is this the first go preview or have we done this other place?
Can't hear you. Can't hear.
Is this the first time you're doing this, or have you done it in other places?
No, we've been doing it here, and they do it in other places also, maybe 500, things like that, big events.
Okay, so.
We have
so-
done it a couple of times
Yeah.
with short shoot,
Okay, thank you.
I think we get it.
but not at this level.
We just get it. All right, motion to recommend, Dean. Go ahead and give it, so that.
I'll second that.
So, in a second.
Yeah, the motion, as Kevin described it, I move to follow the process that he described. So just in a second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, and this done is in the other room. I'll get the, so we have that. Say that.
You did, you have a point.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can we just put it down subject to us being
Yes.
permitted to do it?
Legal sufficiency.
So that we still have the.
Subject to legal sufficiency.
I just want to make a comment anecdotally, okay? I am in the industry. Our season in the industry is measured pre-boat show and post-boat show, okay? This event is signature to us. We just had this long discussion about how we put $2 million into World Cup and didn't get anything. We get a Super Bowl in this destination every year. We should support them at the highest level we can, plain and simple. There shouldn't be a conflict with the boat show and the CVB. We should exist cohesively.
It isn't a conflict with the boat show.
Every year it is.
No, it's the proposal.
So what we're gonna
Let's
do
craft
now is-
something together.
Yeah. I think what this board needs is a workshop.
Yeah.
Also, just get our feelings out. Yeah, we all have feelings. We all have ideas. Whether or not my idea is better than yours, we don't know that. But as we are turning the corner here, as we are never gonna lose your splash, we're gonna have new ideas evolving. Let's sit at the table, let's talk about that, so I don't wanna hurt anybody's feelings. I think we just do it because we have a lot of energy forward to where we are today and how we got there. We respect historical perspective of how we got there. How we move forward is what I'm concerned about. And with that, I'll allow you the opportunity.
So
to ask comments on agenda item.
Sure, I have two.
We'll resume after the council has. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have two comments. One, I don't know where we are. And again, this is I want to bring this to light because it is an issue and it's going to continue to be an issue, especially when the convention center gets busier and busier. We need to figure out parking here at the convention center. The 17th Street corridor on cruise days, you can't even move down the street. It's taking 45 minutes to get from US 1 to the cruise, and we're getting a lot of negative feedback. I don't know what the plan is. I know there's a reserve amount already allocated. Do we have any idea what's going on with the movement of a parking garage or additional parking spaces here? And is there anybody paying attention to this?
Kevin, the back.
Okay, okay. And then secondly,
We all know
okay,
that's an issue.
okay.
But
So,
it's not here yet.
so now I'm going to get on my branding soapbox, okay? We have built a brand here. Broward County, look at all the data, does not resonate. We've done time and time again, we've had reports, every agency comes in, they do their study, doesn't happen. Stacy made the bold move to change it to Visit Lauderdale. It has paid off positively. And now there is a discussion that's going to be on the commission agenda this coming Thursday to put Broward County back in Visit Lauderdale. That's like me saying Dasani brought to you by Coca-Cola. Okay, it's confusion. It doesn't make sense. We've done the research. We have the data. Why are we going backwards? MAC unanimously voted to opposing this initiative and saying that it's not the right move. And I think the TDC should do the same thing and follow the MAC, in my opinion.
I just have a question on that. With that transition, what would that look like? What is the proposal?
It's Visit Lauderdale, Broward County. All in the same, they're going to basically tag Broward County at the bottom of the logo, which candidly, Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun, and then Broward County. I mean, you have a second to capture a moment in somebody's mind about a brand. Why are we clouding this? Why are we getting confusion in the marketplace? Why don't we listen to the experts? Yeah.
I'm Lee, Travel Hospital. I'm also Vice Chair of the Marketing Advisory Committee. I've probably been here the longest, folks. And back when Starmark was the agency of record, extensive focus groups were done internationally with meeting planners and with transient visitors about names. Greater Fort Lauderdale, blah, 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 Broward County, Lauderdale, etc. Broward County came in last. That's what informed the decision. And that focus group, I don't have the data in front of me, guys, was very, very clear. Anyone who travels outside of this destination, and this is all about a destination marketing organization. It's about bringing people here. If you get on a plane and people ask you where you're from and you say Broward County, they don't know where you're coming from. The name of the airport is FLL. We've got to follow the research. And let me tell you who's on that marketing advisory committee that unanimously voted against changing this. Director of Marketing at Four Seasons, Director of Marketing at Margaritaville, Director of Marketing at Harbor Beach Marriott. I can go on and on. These are the experts that were appointed by you to market this destination. And to cloud it now is going backwards. If you look at, you just talked about the signage about Visit Lauderdale out there bold, guys. You can't, in my opinion, and it's not just my opinion, it's the unanimous, there was one abstention, is unanimously voted against changing the logo. It's not, and Stacey put together a very good memo about the research. If you're going to do something like this, you really need to go out and do extensive research. Who's going to pay for it? Changing all the collateral around, where's that money coming from? And it's why. We have already gone, 3 agencies have already told us this, folks. I think we need to listen to the experts rather than dealing with this politically. And so I just want to emphasize what Tim said on this, folks. I've been on that marketing advisory committee for years now, and we're making a lot of headway. The numbers show that. So I just think we need to be very cautious about trying to change the name again. I just think it's the wrong move.
Thank you for your comments. I would encourage you to reach out to your county commission. It is an agenda item. We're not decided here. Just as we sit and throw ideas out, I want us to be mindful of this building. If you talk about Broward County, 31 cities, I want to incorporate everything. Can we zoom in on one thing, Lauderdale, versus other commissions? Maybe broaden the scope. I think discussion, we can always amend and shape things in the future as we sit down and figure out where we are going.
And Vice Mayor,
we've been lucky thus far to have the leadership and the boldness just to be here to build Lauderdale.
But Vice Mayor, I would hope we have a larger discussion. Maybe we go to the Miami-Dade, maybe we go to Lauderdale, Broward County, maybe we go that path. Yes, I agree. And I'm just saying, we just can't be changing things
I
like that.
watched the numbers when you give me the marketing plan and how we dipped in pressure. And well, that was going on in town.
Yep.
I didn't develop it. Then the big boom. It gave people opportunities to go and shop and eat beyond the hotels, a couple of hotels that we did that. Now we have all these things that we've invested in. There's been a lot of changes. moving forward. How does that look? I don't know. Who dictates that? I don't know. But we need to keep talking about it. We can figure out how we get there. And something's gonna happen on this one. We got there 4 months ago, we back down. Please reach out, have a conversation. Let's just keep moving forward. And let's try to keep our emotions intact. I'm very emotional too, but my emotions come from passion.
Me too.
Passion in what we do and what we have done, our past work. I hate to step on the comment. Let's see how we can just keep moving forward. Do we have a verdict yet?
We do, Vice Mayor, and it would be appropriate and okay for the TDC to recommend approval of the sponsorship that is consistent with the president's analysis. And then CVB president would then submit a report after the report is conducted.
Yes, sir.
If I could just add to that, but that also requires, we're going to need to get information from the Marine Industry Association to do the application, get all the data that we need so we can do the proper analysis. And then once the analysis is done, a copy will be provided to the council.
Fair enough. Okay, that has been resolved. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. Thank you. And remember, never lose your splash.
Right, right.
I'm hungry though.